Alright everyone, so we have a keep here on the draw. Now this is not your standard control deck type keep, right? It's not super strong, you don't have a ton of lands, but like this is such a keep in this deck because you instantly have a Hieroglyphics Illuminations that you get to like cycle, and you have a Renewed Faith that you can cycle the next turn. So it looks like we're playing against Marvel, which is not one of our best matchups. That being said, it is of course not winnable. No matchup is unwinnable. We're probably, I mean, we're a huge dog pre-board. We don't have any ceremonious rejections. We probably should, but yeah, I mean, we don't have any ceremonious rejections, so we're a pretty decent sized dog pre-board. We basically have to gain control of the game and not let them do anything. And honestly, they probably have to whiff on Marvel once or twice. Yeah, I mean, at this point, since I'm already cycling this turn, I mean, I have to hit a land here. I've had 4 opportunities or whatever. Alright, we got there. Now, the question is do we cycle Cast Out? That's very dangerous, but since we have Forsake the Worldly, we might be able to. They very rarely slam a Marvel here. Sometimes they also just end up beating us with Rogue Refiners. I mean, it's kind of gross. The Rogue Refiners fall inside of a range where it's very hard to beat them by themselves, and then Marvel's obviously a whole different animal. So maybe they'll just slam a Marvel here and we'll get it. Alright, so we're going to cycle our Cast Out here, which sounds odd, but we do want that next land. Alright, so we're going to play a Conceal the Courtyard, and we're going to pass the turn. Now, at this point we have some options on this coming turn. Obviously, whatever they do, we can counter it if we feel like we need to. We can also Forsake the Worldly. We can also Anguish the Unmaking. So we have a lot of options here, obviously. We kind of want to save an Anguished Unmaking for like a Ulamog or something if it happens to land and they hit something. That's one of the reasons why you can cycle Cast Down this matchup, because World Breakers and Ulamogs are kind of annoying. If he Glimmers in response, we're kind of dead, but most of these decks are not playing Glimmer. Yeah, okay. I was going to say, a lot of these decks are not playing Glimmer, so I was hoping that we'd be able to like get him to play a Puzzle Knot or something, and then we'd be able to get it in response. Ulamog here is just game over. Fairly obviously. Basically anything else is not, but Ulamog is game over. It looks like they don't have Ulamog. We're going to need to draw a 5th land here. So they censored. That's interesting. So we did draw the land, which is of note. We're going to go ahead and kill the Marvel anyways. We're going to play the Choked Estuary. And now we're in a very difficult spot, but not as impossible as the previous spot, because we also have Torrential Gearhulks to go get back for Forsake the Worldlies. So the problem at some point becomes that we have to kill them before they get to 10 mana. At some point, we've stopped their Aether Wars Marvel attack, and we just have to kill them before they get to 10, which is kind of tough in a deck like this because it's already turn 7. But that is what we're fighting here. If we're not fighting Marvel, we're fighting Ulamog. Now, you might say, "Hey, Sam, you mentioned in the deck tech that this is a deck that we struggle against. Why has nobody thought of the great genius plan to just, I don't know, maybe bring in Ceremonious Rejection or Summary of Dismissal?" Well, the thing is that this deck has been built over a bunch of days, and this deck has been, the Teamer Marvel deck has been becoming an increasing part of the meta over these days, and it's not even that big of a part yet. It might be 10%, so we should probably have a sideboard plan for it, but I feel like the negates and stuff is a good enough sideboard plan. Now, I'm probably wrong here, but yeah, I mean, I probably honestly should just have an extra like set of something for specifically this Ulamog matchup, because it is pretty gross sometimes. I mean, the fact that like they can just kind of kill you with Rogue Refiners because it's so hard to just get a Rogue Refiner off the table is, you know, one of the difficulties of this matchup. They're fighting on multiple different axes, right? They're getting Marvels, they're killing you with Marvels, and they're killing you with Rogue Refiners, and all their like dumb Whirler Virtuoso type creatures, and you're just kind of trying to grind them away, which doesn't make the matchup great, but oh, it's got something in my eye here. A 3rd Drakehaven. That's also never going to help. So we're going to play a Drakehaven because, as previously stated, it's one of the ways to win here. That being said, it's not the best thing to do. What I will say about this deck, though, if you are somebody that is interested in playing a deck like this, is that it's very customizable, right? If you like mid-range decks, You can make a mid-rangey Drakehaven deck with Archfiend of Depravities at the top of the curve. If you like a controlling type deck, you can make this as controlling as you want. So there are a lot of options here. I feel like I either need to dissolve this or the activation. And I feel like it's just better to dissolve this. Now, I might just get owned here. I mean, this deck is playing Glimmer of Geniuses, which is not something that I would expect out of a Marvel deck, so they could be playing other things that I would not expect as well, like mainboard negates or mainboard dissolves. Okay, so that's the way they're going to go about it, which is totally fine. Now I just have to have them whiff again. Which, I mean, we said in the deck building that the way to beat Marvel is they're going to have to whiff once. Now they have to whiff twice. They have to whiff once, basically, and you have to get a little lucky. Well, they didn't whiff once, so we are on to game number 2 very quickly. Yeah, we're on to game 2 pretty quickly here. So at this point, the Drakehaven deck's kind of a known entity. I'm not saying that I built the Drakehaven deck online. I will say I was the only person playing it before, like, Thursday, and now there are actually a reasonable amount of people playing it. So what's good here? Obviously, Forsake the Worldly's good. The Negates are obviously good. The Dispel is good because they bring in counters, and the Disallow is good. So when we sort here by converted mana cost, things that we don't want, we don't really want the Sorin. It just doesn't do enough. It kills them very, very slowly. We can think about this Omnixilus. We don't really need these Renewed Faiths. This Anguish in Making is important. These Disallows, these Negates, this Essence Scatter. I would consider keeping in an extra Essence Scatter. And then we can kind of make decisions after that. We could bring in Omnixiluses or Blessed Alliances. At this point, we do kind of need card advantage, but we have a little bit of that. I'm going to bring in the 2 Blessed Alliances because, again, you sometimes do die to their creatures, and even when you don't die to their creatures, a Blessed Alliance can always get an Ulamog. So I usually sideboard something like this. You could bring in the Omnixiluses if you're convinced that that's what you want, etc., etc. So we're going to go on to game number 2 here. Hopefully it will be a little less grueling of a defeat, but we will see. Alright, we are on the play here. I, for one, know that I'm very excited to see the PT results. I know a lot of people in my stream have been talking about them. I'm super pumped for them. So this is a difficult hand to keep, but you have to keep it. Once again, you have cards that are good in the matchup. Pull from Tomorrow is kind of dead this early, so this is already sort of a mulligan, but you have to at least, like, think about keeping hands like this, or else you're just, you're always dead. What I will say, though, is that, I mean, in these sorts of hands, when you draw land 3 easily, you win, and when you draw land, and when you, have to stumble, it's kind of difficult. Like, cycling Cast Out is not really where we want to be, but we will be there if we have to be. Alright. So, we might not even have to cycle Curator of Mysteries here. The reason I'm saying that is because you kind of want to play it and beat down. They do keep in their Harness Lightnings usually for your Gear Hulks, but not always. There's also not a lot they can do next turn. Alright, so I'm going to play a Shambling Vet now. This has gone very according to plan. I'm not, countering and anticipate. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I'm not going to counter and anticipate when I can just counter something that's good. Alright, so if they don't do anything, they don't do anything here that really... Yeah, they can't really get 4 energy this turn, right? Whirler Virtuoso. That's a little annoying. So Aether Hub plus Aetherworks Marvel is annoying next turn. It's, really annoying. But that doesn't happen all that often. Usually it's just, random land Aetherworks Marvel or tapped land in a lot of these decks with so many Spiralbluff Canals and Botanical Sanctums. So I'm pretty positive that our play is just Curator of Mysteries pass. It's just land Curator of Mysteries. I'm fairly certain that's the play here. By the way, you can also get a little tricky late game with Pull of Tomorrow, Drakehaven. You can also, pull for 0 sometimes, just to pay 1 to make a Drake. You're basically just paying 3 mana to discard a card to make a Drake. You can do that sometimes. That doesn't come up all the time, but that is something that does happen. Speaking of Drakehaven, we just don't need it right now. This is just such a bad draw here. Gonna cast Curator of Mysteries. If this sticks next turn, let's say they just go land Marvel. we're kind of in the driver's seat at that point. We can pretty much, like, we can start attacking, we can pretty much stop whatever their plan is to do, unless we get into the same issue where we pass and then, you know, where we like pass back and then they passed us and then they glimmer of genius and then they... So we have to be careful of that this time. Before it was reasonable to think that they were not playing Glimmer of Genius because many of these decks don't, but now that we do, that's just another wrinkle that we have to deal with. So they might just be stuck on 3 lands here. Or they're playing another tapped land, which is also a possibility. So no attacks. So disallow. That's interesting. Problem is I'm just like, I'm sort of behind very much. Ugh, yeah, I'm just behind. I mean, I do have the Shambling Vent, but I don't think the Shambling Vent's gonna get them. I wish this Drakehaven was just an island. One of the issues with this deck also is that we only have 4 islands in the deck because we need all the cycling lands and then we need the Shambling Vents to basically make our deck reasonable against aggro. I mean, the Shambling Vents really do account for like 4 percentage points or something game 1, 5 percentage points or something game 1 against aggro, against like mono red or black red specifically, or white red humans or something like that. Like being able to stabilize and then just come back is huge. All right, I think. I think I just cast 1 mode, and no, I cast 2 modes for sure. I'm gonna untap and target opponent sacks a creature. Hold on, I have to do this correctly. It's so hard to do correctly sometimes. Choose up to 2 target creatures. Bam. Okay, choose target opponent. Bam. Now we have successfully figured it out. Come on, no negate. Hashtag no negate. Come on. Hashtag no negate. Dang it. I think there's about to be a negate incoming. The other way to play that, obviously, was to just Blessed Alliance for 1. Ooh, Drakehaven deck tech is done loading. The obvious way to do that was just to do it for 1, but I'm not sure that's as good. We're going to block here. If he wants to sack the clue in response and trade, we're happy to do that. Yep, we're happy to get the 2 for 2 here. We want to get this off the board, and then if he can't do anything else this turn, we're kind of in control next turn. Like, if he just has to land pass here, we're looking so good. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Alright, need to draw land here. Land. Drakehaven. Rats. So maybe we're not looking as good. I mean, we can pull from tomorrow for 2 at the end of his turn if he doesn't do anything, because we can just discard a Drakehaven. But, I mean, they have 7 cards in hand, and we do not have 7 cards in hand, so it's going to be difficult for us to keep up, especially when 2 of our cards are just completely dead. Now, some of their cards might be completely dead as well, right? They could have Harness Lightnings, or random Servant of the Conduits they just drew, or they could have, obviously, they could have land-type situations, like Attune with Aethers, or things like that in their hand that are basically dead in this matchup, or dead at this point in the game, in this matchup, I should say, but that being said, most of the time, we're the ones that are kind of fighting for our lives here. Now, I'm going to go for it at the end of his turn. If he Glimmer of Geniuses me, that's just a situation we have to deal with, but I don't think there's going to be a better spot to pull from tomorrow, and usually once we get ahead, we're going to stay ahead. So I'm just going to pull from tomorrow and see what happens here. Now keep in mind that I'm not the GOAT control player in the universe. I'm a fairly good limited player, who, you know, reads new formats not well, but I am a sort of weak control player, so that has to be taken into account. Also, he's gonna have to discard here, which I don't know if he took into account, but we're now gonna have the card advantage, right? We're gonna be up 8 to his 7 at some point because he's gonna have to clean up here. So, or no, we're not. We're gonna Drakehaven can get owned. That can go, and they're going to have to clean up. My guess is they're going to have to discard a relevant spell because they don't want to discard lands. Now, Drakehaven also seems like it's a relevant spell that we're discarding, but it's really not here. So I'm not too concerned about it. So, 2 advantages here. Ooh, Ulamog. Okay. So we get to go up lands real quick. Yeah, I actually want to show irrigated farmland. Again, I think one of the ways I get ahead here is just slamming a Drakehaven and then holding up negate for... Now, if they play a untapped land, hold up 1 blue, and they have Dispel, they just got me. But how many Dispels can they really be playing in their sideboard? So the list that I got offline wasn't playing any Dispels, but I just got a random list. I didn't, like, you know... I didn't specifically check that list. For, you know, the list I was playing wasn't playing any Dispels, but that doesn't mean that no lists are playing Dispels. Tireless Tracker is pretty good. How do you beat Tireless Tracker? It just tirelessly tracks, you know? Alright, that can get played then. I can't cast out here, which is a little unfortunate. I can't cast out here because I have to be able to negate whatever's about to happen. Yeah. I mean, this is not going in the direction that we needed to. I'm just getting endless Tireless Tracker card advantage. That being said, it's not going in an awful direction. It's just not going in the direction that we want the games to go in. I mean, we can get card advantage back, don't worry, but it's not looking good right now. Alright, well, they didn't have negate last time, so we're going to hope they don't have negate again. We're going to go get this Tireless Tracker just because it is going to... I mean, the Tireless Tracker itself is going to kill us. This Rogue Refiner doesn't really matter. We have Drakehaven. We can get enough advantage off Drakehaven that I'm not super worried about it, but if they, you know, they've already drawn 3 cards off Tireless Trackers, so at some point it just becomes too much and we have to say no. Now, Hieroglyphic Illumination is a weird one, mostly because it draws 2 cards by itself, or you can cycle it and make a Drake, so you can basically guarantee that the second card that you're drawing from it is a Drake. Also, if they don't have a land this turn, they might have to go to discard again, which is very, I mean, it's good for us. I mean, just like taking a random card out of their hand, even if it's their worst card, taking a card out of their hand is still good. I mean, card advantage is a real thing in Standard and Unlimited. Also, one thing that Alex and I definitely want is that if you've made it through this video thus far, you're probably a fairly avid Standard player, or maybe you just like me, I don't know. But if you have made it this far, then we would really appreciate you letting us know if you want more limited content, if you want more standard content, if you want more of this, if you want less of this, kind of what you want out of your SeemsGoodMagic experience, because we are basically here to provide that to you, right? In some way, we are trying to provide you, the viewers, with whatever kind of content you want. Now, he's definitely keeping up a counter here, but we can't really let that deter us from countering back. I mean, he obviously has Disallow. I would think. Unless he's afraid of getting his Disallow dispelled. Alright, maybe he doesn't have Disallow. So this Hieroglyphic Illuminations is very strange here. It's strange in the sense that we want to cycle it to make a Drake, but that also, one of our best ways to win the game is obviously, or we want to cycle it to make a Drake, but we also feel like we need more card advantage. Now that we have 2, it gets interesting. I don't really have to do anything right now. I can kind of wait till my opponent's turn to decide. If they end up attacking with the Whirler Virtuoso, I'm going to Blessed Alliance it. Oh. Yeah, this game is going strangely, but we're certainly not dead yet. The problem is that they have 7 mana, so as soon as they get to 10, we're getting Ulamog for sure. One of the reasons, my guess, is why they have so much stuff in their hand, but they've had trouble playing it, is because they either 1, 2, 3 Ulamogs. They might have a World Breaker in there. There are a lot of possibilities of things that could be in their hand. Now, what's strange to me is that they decided to go Whirler Virtuoso here on 3. Maybe it was their only option to go Aetherworks Marvel into Whirler Virtuoso, but they know that we have the ability to make a lot of Drakes very quickly, so it's kind of strange to me that they would choose to try to go the route of winning with 1/1s when we can just make 2/2s in the air that block easily. But then again, I mean, I'm not in charge of them, who really knows? I mean, and they're just going for it here, they're just making 5. We're just going to block something. What other options do we have? We can cycle both Hieroglyphic Illuminations and draw for each cycle, and make a guy for each cycle and keep up Disallow. So that's just the plan. Gotta tap that for blue, I apologize. Now they could have Harness Lightning, which could like ruin the double block here, so I'm not sure I'm going to go for the double block. I think I'm just going to go for some singles. Because again, I don't want to get owned by Harness Lightning, and I can't counter Harness Lightning because I have to save the counter for Aetherworks Marvel and things that matter like that. I mean, not that Harness Lightning in this situation doesn't matter, but I mean, Harness Lightning's not going to kill us. Like, right, like if we double block, then we allow Harness Lightning to be bad, right? We're taking 5, we're going to 11, all of a sudden we're in danger of dying. But if we just block like this, and he Harness Lightning's one of them, like that's not a terrible situation. It's not an ideal situation, but it's not awful. Now the question is when do you start to turn the corner here? The problem is that he has a Woodweaver's Palsonot and 6 cards in hand, and it's going to be a while until we can grind him down to no cards in hand where we have like 3, especially since we've already used our pull from tomorrow. So it's going to be a little difficult here. The problem with this is that he's just going to get back his thing, so I might as well just counter this. Because right now he has 2 energy. He really has 5, but right now he has 2. And he's just going to get back his Marvel. Yeah, we just ran right into Censor, didn't we? Yeah, alright. Again, it's kind of strange that he would attack with all of his flyers, but we know what he's doing. He's just going to -4, or -3, get back Marvel, return to his hand. And now we're actually in some trouble, because we have to find a counter to the Marvel that we know he has, right? So we can play Marvel. Oh, he's just untapping a land. Alright, well that's way better. We have Gearhulk now? Oh man. Yeah, I need to attack it twice here because I need to get it out of range. What can I do here? I can play a Blessed Alliance and a Gearhulk. It's pretty hard to play anything else in Gearhulk though, so that's pretty impossible. Alright, let's see. Our opponent now only has 4 cards in hand, right? And Gearhulk plus Hieroglyphic Illuminations plus like killing an Aether Hub or something gives us... It puts us at parity basically, and then we can kind of make a Drake army. So this is kind of the situation in which we need to take advantage of this to win the game. The problem is that it's very hard to take advantage of these situations and end up winning the game. Now that doesn't mean it's impossible, that just means it's difficult, so we're going to have to figure out how to do that. Now, they're going to have to provide us an opening, right? If they just Marvel, or, you know, if they just like, not if they slam a Marvel here, but if they just like slam a Marvel with counter backup, if they just slam a Marvel like with counter backup and have some way to make energy, that's kind of an issue. This does get permanents, right? Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, they could have totally gotten Marvel if they wanted to. Yeah, I'll just take 2, whatever. This is only... Oh, this is 9 lands. Oh no, they're gonna untap a... Okay, I thought they were gonna tap a land, untap a land, Ulamog me. I was very afraid of the Ulamog, the incoming Ulamog. I could have also Blessed Alliance this, by the way, but I was kind of afraid that other stuff was going to happen. That's not what I was afraid of. I was more afraid of the Aetherworks Marvel thing. Maybe I just got myself worked up too much, like I could have Blessed Allianced the Whirler Virtuoso and Gearhulked. Yeah, that's probably a punt, right? Sounds like a punt from here. Also, these matches are going to be very long in general, so if you can stand them, congratulations. Congratulations. Are they thinking of like going for a Glimmer of Genius? If they go for a Glimmer Genius, a Glimmer of Genius, I can't Gearhulk, right? Yeah, okay. I'm not Gearhulking. Just made the decision. Hopefully this cycles into something good. I hope this cycles into a Cycler, honestly. Because then we can kill Nissa very safely. If this cycles into a Cycler, we just get to kill Nissa super easy. I cycled into a Disallow. That's interesting as well. Yeah, now we get to kill Nissa in the easiest way of them all, which is just exiling it. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. We're just going to have to kill Nissa in the normal way now. We're just gonna, Yeah, so he's just gonna trade his 3 Thopters for this. But then we have Disallow plus Blessed Alliance. This is such a strange spot here. Do we ever disallow that? Oh, I don't know. I always feel like I'm getting outplayed when I play this deck, but at the same time, there's no way everyone else is also playing perfectly, so I don't feel too terrible. Yeah, I definitely can't disallow that. I just don't want to get Ulamog. Just don't Ulamog me, because when they Ulamog you, it's so hard to decide, like, do you counter the trigger, do you counter the spell, do you concede? It's so difficult. So difficult. Yeah, so we've been having some conversations in the chat recently about like pre-releases and what you're excited for. What are you bringing to standard FNM this week? So I know that last week was also FNM, standard for a lot of people, but what are you bringing to FNM this week? What's your go-to deck? What's your go-to strategy? What are you doing? What are you excited to play? What are you excited about? Let me know. Oh yeah, no, that has to be disallowed. That just cannot be allowed. I mean, the thing is that they have 2 Ulamogs, I'm dead anyways, but I just have to hope that they don't have 2 Ulamogs. Okay, that does not look like an Ulamog. Come on, Sam, let's claw ourselves back into this one. We can win this one. I mean, we have to draw something good, but we can win this one. We got the negate out of their hand. They don't have a counterspell for Gearhulk. Or else they would have countered that nonsense. Maybe they have Essence... No way they have Essence Scatter. They could have Harness Lightning, but no one really cares about that. They're taking forever, which I don't really know why. Interesting. I don't think they're playing Fumarole, so I don't think I have to be worried about that at 4. I just have to be worried about getting hit with multiple things. But I have Blessed Alliance and Gearhulk, so I should be okay. And I now have Censor, which is actually good. I'm just going to attack, because I have to start attacking at some point. And it's going to be so hard for me to die on this swing back here. Alright, my plan... What is my plan? So I can always Gear Hulk Blessed Alliance gain life. That's always an option. I can also Gear Hulk Disallow. They just cycle that. That doesn't do anything. They go for like a big pull from tomorrow. I'm obviously disallowing. They go for a Glimmer of Genius. Try Gear Hulk Disallow here. I guess not. Wait, are they just gonna make a bunch of Whirler Virtuoso tokens and kill me? Did I just die? Huh, so what would have happened if I kept all my guys back? They get to make 4... How many tokens do they get to make? They get to make 5 tokens. Oh. Or they don't. Whatever. I thought I killed myself, but I guess they don't get to make 5 tokens. I don't know if that's my opponent playing well or not. Keep that in mind. I'm going to cycle this guy. Pay 1, I will. Ooh. That can get cycled as well here. I'm going to tap the Shambling Vents. Like, I want to pretend that I have counters up, but I want to be able to double block this Whirler Virtuoso, because again, if they can make guys, then that's really bad for me. My opponent is playing around stuff that I don't even have, so I'm just going to kind of let him keep doing that, I guess. Ugh. Dang it. I was counting on him, like, pretending to play around that. I mean, at this point he just has 3 Ulamogs left in his deck, and he's gonna find one. But I was really hoping you wouldn't. Well, this isn't actually too terrible. And I'll tell you why. It's because I can deal with an Ulamog here. Now, how I deal with an Ulamog is a little sketchy, but I can Torrential Gear Hulk the trigger. Alright, first I hope they don't find anything good, and I can just Torrential Gear Hulk, Forsake the Worldly, kill this Aetherworks Marvel. That's the first plan. The second plan is that I can Torrential Gear Hulk disallow the trigger Essence Scatter the guy. That's also sketchy, because then they just kill me on the next turn with a different one. Alright, so now... Now I'm flashing this in. This is my chance, right? If they have something, I'm dead, but this is my chance. I have to Forsake the Worldly, this Aetherworks Marvel. And by the way, I have to do all this while still dodging an Ulamog. Like, I'm still pretty dead to Ulamog. So I have to do all this while dodging Ulamog. Like, if they have an Ulamog off the top, I mean I'm dead. So Forsake the Worldly. And 1 is not really 1, because I have this Blessed Alliance in my hand, so it's really like 5. It's not, you know, not a big deal. Alright, gonna kill this guy. Now I can also make a dude at the end of his turn if that has to happen. If he casts an Ulamog and like exiles 2 things, we're still not dead because we can just Essence Scatter the Ulamog and like take the trigger and then try to build back after it. But basically we're trying to race him with these Drakes. The issue is that he's basically a 24, so it's going to take a long time to race him with Drakes. At some point he's just going to find Ulamogs, and it's so hard to grind through them. I mean, our deck theoretically can grind through them, but mostly we're just trying to kill them before Ulamog matters. There are also instances in which you disallow the trigger and you cast out or anguish the Ulamog. Yeah, this has to get countered. Because that's another thing that's just, like, so annoying to beat. Okay, no, I will happily fight over that. That's fine. Marvel again. Well, there's nothing we can do about that. At some point, they're going to find an Ulamog. I guess now we can't Essence Scour the Ulamog, so maybe we shouldn't have fought over the Virtuoso. But them casting the Virtuoso made me think they didn't have Ulamog, and so because I thought they didn't have Ulamog and they didn't have Aetherworks Marvel, because we only had 2 mana up, why wouldn't they have just played Aetherworks Marvel and then we had a negate, negate, or negate? So I kind of thought they didn't have any of that stuff, and so my plan was to just like counter the Whirler Virtuoso and try to kill them as quickly as possible. Obviously that wasn't effective. I guess we at least have Blessed Alliance from Ulamog here. Like, we're not just stone cold to it once it resolves. This is an interesting card, whether you want to cycle it or whether you want to play it. I gotta attack with some stuff. If his plan is just to make a bunch of things and attack me, he can make 6 of them. I can block 2, gain 4. I guess I should just attack with a 1, as silly as that sounds. But I do need to attack with some stuff, or else I'm just never winning. This is kind of why I didn't want the Whirler Virtuoso to resolve, because I could have hit him for 10 this turn, he could have gained 6, so we could have gone to 14, and then I could have killed him next turn. Alright, I mean, spin the wheel, I guess. I'm pretty annoyed about this, but spin the wheel. Whatever, man. What if he doesn't spin the wheel and just goes for the Virtuoso kill? What if I just somehow tricked him into going for the Virtuoso kill, and then that doesn't work? I have no idea what's going on in our opponent's head right now, but I'm happy that I am on this side of the table. Dude, do it again. Yeah, you got it, man. Oh, come on. What if I get to Blessed Alliance, 4, make him sacrifice a dude, and cycle? How sick would that be? Oh, attack with everything. I promise it's going to work out. How could it not work out? You attacking with everything. Oh, what? That makes 0 sense to me. You set up that whole turn just to attack with everything, and then you don't attack with everything? That makes 0 sense. Alright, they're going to investigate. Are they only playing 1 Ulamog in their deck? There's a 0% chance they only have 1 Ulamog, right? So there's 3 Ulamogs in the next 20 cards. So there's no way I'm dodging all of them. But maybe they'll just time out first, who knows? It's like the worst way ever to win, but it might happen. We might just time them out first. I'm gonna Fetid Pool here. I mean, look, are they really playing around me having disallow here? Come on, they're not playing around that. I'm just gonna go for it. I was gonna say, if they spin in response, like, that is, you know, or if they crack spin in response, I should say. That's huge, only because it could get me back in the game. That's why that's big. Because now at the end of my turn I can Fetid Pools cycle twice, or do 2 triggers, and then on the next turn I can Power Illuminations 2 triggers, something else 2 triggers. How many more turns do I need to make it until they just die? Until they, you know, get to 0, like... They get to take 1 more turn, and probably 1 more after that. So I have to survive 2 of their turns here, which isn't super likely to be fair if they're playing optimally, but they do not seem to be playing optimally, so I don't really have to worry about that. There's also situations in which I could play this Fetid Pools just in case I thought I needed the extra mana, but this game is not going long, so I do not need the extra mana. What I am going to need them to do is mess up. That's just something that's going to need to happen. I need them to mess up. Like that. Like, I need them to just make 1/1s and then not attack with them again or something. So at this point, it's all about trying to figure out if they're going to clock themselves before they kill me. If they're under, like, 40 seconds when they pass the turn, they might clock themselves before they kill me. Who knows? Alright, so I get to block, 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 whamp, 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 block, block, damage, gain 4, come on. Everyone cross your fingers. I want to gain 4. Will I win this game because my opponent timed out and didn't play super well? He's going to crack a clue. Okay. Come on. Come on, keep him crossed. Let's go. Again, they're going to be under that 40-second mark if they pass the turn here. Alright, that survived. Alright, have fun stacking those triggers with 25 seconds. I think we did it! Alright, yeah. Wait, did they F6? No, there's no way they F6 through the triggers, right? Maybe they did. If they know how to F6 through the triggers, they would have F6 through them a long time ago. I mean, I should lose this game. Yeah, no, I 100% deserve to lose this game. Wow, they didn't even go for Ulamog there. They're just going to cast it. That's what you're going to kill? Okay. Bam, we did it. I mean, to be fair, I would have played like that. I don't think I stalled or anything. Our opponent just ran out of clock, but we got there in a pretty unwinnable game. Alright, I mean, on to match number 2. See you there. Thank you for hanging out.